Hey, it's Sean Shapiro, here we go. Knows the road rules better than most folks know. Ask your questions, bring the heat or keep it chill. He's got the answers and a license to spill. Ask a traffic cop, Sean's your guy. Breaking it down, no lie, no tie. Knows the stuff and things to keep you clear. Ask away, he's the voice you wanna hear. Badge, now a podcast star, navigating traffic laws near and far. Stop sign confusions or a signal light feud. Sean's the one to give you the right attitude. Yeah, ask your traffic cop, Sean's your guy. Breaking it down, no lie, no tie. Knows the stuff and things to keep you clear. Ask away, he's the voice you wanna hear. From this man. Ask a traffic cop, Sean's your guy. Breaking it down, no lie, no tie.
I forgot I didn't press the button to make that an automated thing. Hey, everybody. My name is Sean Shapiro. I'm a former police officer who needs to clean his glasses because this is going to get interesting. I have compiled a list of fun from a video that I posted. I hope you're doing well, guys. I really am. It is Ask a Traffic Cop After Dark, where me, Sean Shapiro, former police officer, sits down to answer your traffic and police questions. And tonight, well, it's going to get interesting. Like I said, I posted a video, and on Instagram and on Facebook, it went bananas. Yeah. Over, I think it's like 400,000 views right now across, well, Instagram in particular. There's 800 and plus comments just on Facebook. And some people be pissed. Oh, yeah, I did not make friends, but I did get views. And it's interesting because as far as I'm concerned, whether you like it or you don't like it, it got us talking about it. I'm cleaning my glasses. And, and what we're talking about is whether or not hazard lights should be utilized when you are in traffic. If it's snowing, does that make for a justification to put those blinky blinkers on and drive around? I don't think it does. In fact, the majority of the United States agree with me because it's against the law. Now, it's not against the law in Ontario, nor is it against the law across the great country of Canada. But should it be? I, for one, can't stand seeing it. It drives me bananas when I see people turning on the blinkers if it's just snowing. I mean, it's snowing, it's raining, and they're in the passing lane on Yonge Street, and the flashers are going. They're on the 404, and everybody's going the same speed, and the flashers are on. And it's not one, it's not two, it's a half dozen people. Now, I can't wait to read you these comments because they say a lot. They say a lot about what the average person thinks of this. And it says a lot about what many people think it is. And they think it's lawful to the point of mandatory. I grew up in a time where people knew how to drive and they didn't make up their own rules. And things have certainly changed because people are making stuff up every single day. Now, power to them. They think they're being safe and they feel safe. There's a psychological benefit to having the blinky blinkers on because they think they're untouchable. They're safe. It's not accurate. It also doesn't protect against parking tickets because they're going to get Timmies or whatnot. Another thing that the blinky blinkers are apparently that sphere of protection that avoids enforcement of any kind. On my way home today, I was driving around some country roads and I noticed quite a number of people in the ditch. I stopped to see if they were okay and they were fine. Help was on the way. I kept going. But it was scary to see just how many people flew off the road when it snowed a little bit. People who are not treating the road appropriately. And the reason I bring this up, aside from the fact that I want you all to be safe all the time, is that when people are overconfident, they don't have the right snow tires. And I call them snow tires, even though they're winter tires. Snow tires are a different thing altogether. I'm talking about winter tires that are designed for the temperature, not necessarily deep snow. What I'm talking about are people who don't realize y'all got to slow down. And the biggest problem and why people feel there's a need to have their flashy flashers on is because there's so many people going way too fast. If you're concerned, even in a whiteout condition, that someone can't see you until they're upon you, it's probably because they're going too fast as they pass you. They're driving beyond their ability to see. If you can't see 5 feet in front of you, you should be going so slow that you approach that 5 feet in front of you with caution. Now, I have driven in the worst traffic, or weather, I should say. Well, I've driven in the worst traffic too, but I've driven in the worst weather because I was a police officer and I was out there to do stuff and things. And it wasn't an opportunity to say, you know what, it doesn't look good. I'm going to stay home and, make a fire and just chill out. And, no, that wasn't an option. I was a cop and I had to go out and do things. I know what it's like to drive slow and cautiously in a real, I sakes, I'm laughing, rear wheel drive police car that didn't have snow tires because Toronto police didn't do that. You get where you're going with caution, with taking your time and not driving beyond your ability to see. Anyway, let's get into some stuff and things. I'd love to ask you a favor, and that is to follow me on YouTube if you don't already follow me. Follow me wherever you're watching, because it really does help. I'm trying to hit 1,000. We're like 2 away from the 1,000 mark on YouTube, which is awesome. And we're growing every day on the other platforms. So we're at 40,500 or 40,600 on Instagram. We're almost at 50,000 on TikTok. It's really going great. And if you follow me and you've been following me for a long time, thank you so much. I really do appreciate you being part of this community. I'm doing things every day to try and bring you better stuff and things. My goal is to bring more voices on. I don't want to be the only guy talking on this channel, but I'm here for you. And until I have other people who can lend their voices to the conversation, you're going to hear from me as much as possible. Quick shout out and thanks to the magical folks at Diamond & Diamond Law Firm, Diamond & Diamond Lawyers. They are Canada's largest personal injury law firm. They are my friends and they support what I do and the messaging that we make because they want everyone to drive safer, get to where they're going safely each and every time and back home again, because as much as they're there to protect you if things go wrong, they'd rather have you happy, healthy, and safe. So thank you to them. They help keep the lights on. I also appreciate Barrett Tax Law, Barrett Legal, and the folks at ifinallywill.com, who, by the way, give an offer of 50% off if you use code AATC for Ask a Traffic Cop at checkout. Just saying. Save you some money if you're looking for a will or power of attorney. They do that sort of thing. It's online. It's easy peasy. And you don't know if you need it. Well, everyone needs it, but you don't realize you need it until it's too late. And your family's the one who suffers. Stephen Bell, 7969, says, hi, good evening, Sean. Good evening to you, Senior Bell from London, Ontario, longtime participant in the magic of our show. Smoke 3662 wants to know if they can ask a question. Of course, the answer is yes, you can. That's what this show is all about. Put it in the comments and we'll get to you. I see a bunch of people in there. Now let's see what's going on the TikTok. on the TikTok. Oh, yes. Oh, stand by. Got to press a button. There we go. Need to have a little update. What's going on? I see Raven and Leland. Oh, it's a whole bunch of people in here. Jay says, hey. Levi says, bro has an intro. Hell yes. Of course we got an intro. We professional and stuff. If you got a question, please hit the letter Q before you answer it. So before you enter the question, so I know it's a question and not dialogue amongst yourselves, does really help. Okay. Bergamutka sent a donut. Of course, that's a police favorite. So thank you very much. Appreciate it. Any gifts that we receive are in fact going to the Canadian. Well, it says there. It doesn't say it on the screen. On my daytime show, we have bettertraffic.ca. Better Traffic is the Canadian organization of better traffic safety and education. And the whole goal is to make everybody safer through education. And it's a not-for-profit. And any money you give by way of diamonds and gifts goes to the not-for-profit, not to me directly. What's the fine for not clearing your windows? Okay, there's two different ways to go. If you can't see, it's driver view obstructed, and that means it's a $110 fine. And now that can be for your front, your window, back, your side, whatever. In addition to that, if you've got someone called it a mattress pillow or something like that on top of your car, if you have that, if you're transporting snow and it is flying off and sheets of ice are going places and you could be charged for insecure load. Everyone wants to say it's not secured, unsecured. It's insecure load. That's the charge of the Highway Traffic Act. And the answer is it's a $110 fine for that too. Depends on which way they're going, but chances are you're just going to get a obstructed view or driver's view obstructed. Smoke 3662 says, whatever happened to the speed limits? I know around my area it says 45 miles per hour. People pass doing like 60 to 70. You said miles per hour. It means you're in the United States. I'm going to make that assumption. I'm in Toronto, Canada. Although I can tell you that speed limits have been they've been reduced all over the place because slower is actually safer. Now, 45, when you multiply it by 1.6, which is what you need to do to get to kilometers, it's actually a relatively good speed. But folks do whatever the hell they want. They don't realize that speed kills. It's an unpopular statement to make. People don't like hearing stuff like that. Speed is what causes a great issue, especially in the winter. Things go crazy out of control when it's too fast. Trauma with Broseph says, amen. And I'm assuming that's to the whole driving around with their blinkers on. Trauma with Broseph says, granted, I think 10 to 15 kilometers over is okay depending on the weather. So when we talk about speed limits, a posted speed limit is intended for ideal weather conditions. So if it's 100 kilometers an hour, 60-ish for you guys in the States, that's the ideal speed for the conditions perfection. So if it's inclement weather, if it's snowing, if it's raining, you should be dropping down 5 to 10 kilometers or miles, depending on where you are, to make sure that you have that extra gap. So it's going to take you longer to stop. But listen, 10 to 15 kilometers over depends on the speed you're going. If it's a 100-kilometer zone, would I give someone the buffer of 10 to 15? Yeah, I wouldn't pull someone over for 10 to 15 over in a 100-kilometer-an-hour zone. But I would in the event that they were doing 10 to 15 over in a 60. 15 over, I'd lay a charge. In a 60. Smoke is in rural area in Pennsylvania. Love Pennsylvania. Was in Hershey, Pennsylvania a year and a half ago, just before I left the Toronto Police. And went to, what cornfield did I go to? I was in Levitz? Was in Levitz? I think it was Levitz. Levitz? Lutz, no. Lidditz. I went to a crazy place that we can talk about another day. Yeah. Douglas Gordon jumped in. Spud Finnegan, great username, whether it's real or made up. I love it. Okay. Yos says, also signals don't work when they're on for changing lanes. Yeah, if you got your flashers on, good luck telling anybody what you're actually planning to do other than, please don't hit me. That's how I translate those signals. It's the I'm terrified, don't hit me flashies. Flashies. Okay. I'm scrolling back here. What is it? Well, I got a question coming in here. I am ready. I am ready. By the way, if you're on TikTok, please send likes by tapping the screen so your fingers go numb, and then send it to a friend who needs to know about driving, who may have some questions, or is someone who has their flashy flashers on. Yeah. Do you drive with your amber hazard lights flashing when you're on the highway? If it's snowing, if it's raining, if it's windy, if you're in a bad mood, when do you turn your hazards on? Because driver training says if you're doing significantly lower speeds than the normal traffic, and this is where it gets interesting, the normal traffic. So if you're doing 40 because you blew a tire and you're slowing down to get off the highway or getting onto the shoulder, flashers on. That's what they're for. You're a hazard, baby. But if you are driving in a snowstorm and everybody's doing 40 kilometers an hour or 40 miles an hour, 20 miles, whatever speed, you're all going the same speed. Your flishy flashers don't do very much other than annoy and blind everybody else on the road. We all see the same thing you see. You're not helping, especially when everyone's doing it. If you look at the video that I posted, and by all means, go jump out, watch it, and come back. I think that's a pretty clear night. That's not a lot of snow. That's not white out and like 5 cars are blinking. And you can see the cars that aren't blinking. They're the ones you are happy are there because they're not blinking. Otherwise, it would be, oh, what a mess. I will be reading the top 10 meanest comments I received, the top 10 funniest comments, the top 10 supportive comments, the ones that were personal attacks on me, the ones that were attacking the female voice at the beginning because people didn't like her at all. We're going to talk about all those things. I love it. Will.i.am had a dig on some folks that he thinks are responsible for everything bad on the road, but he's a former tow truck operator. By the way, much respect. I appreciate tow truck operators. I really do. They get a bad rap from some bad actors in the industry, but for the most part, it's good people helping other good people in situations like today when they're all in the ditch or they're broke down. They are a lifeline. Okay, YF wants to know, can I tint my front window right? Right? Oh, maybe you meant to say you cannot. Oh, no, you want to know if you can. Hang on. You want to know if you can have a tint strip across the top. I'm decoding your kind of incomplete question. The answer is no, not in the province of Ontario, and I don't think anywhere else. You can't put any tint on the front windshield in Ontario. Nothing. It's an unsafe motor vehicle if you do. Well, actually, let me specify. If it was manufactured 2017 or newer, you cannot put anything on there. Block sensors, does other things, but they've made it completely illegal to put anything on there. And if you have any tint, even a tint strip, that sun strip across the top, your vehicle can be deemed unsafe. You can lose your plates. You can have them pulled. You can have to go get sent in to do another safety. It's not worth it. Now, if you have a 2016 or older, you can have that 3-inch or 372 millimeter from the top or to the AS1 line. AS1. I always want to call it a PS1 and then play video games on it. Disposable says, bad weather people just use their high beams and make my windshield a mirror. Yeah, people don't understand about that balance of trying to keep nighttime visibility viable. If your eyes dilate, everything goes to hell. Brandon says, good morning, Sean and all. It's 2 a.m. in Glasgow, Scotland. I don't think I did a very good statement or accent at all, but he says, I hope you had it all, and I hope you all had an amazing day. Brandon travels more than anybody I know. He's either in Orangeville, Orlando, and now in Glasgow. And I love Glasgow. I was there last year, the year before. I was on vacation. I actually went on the Jerry Agar show by calling in while standing in a Marks and Spencer in Scotland. Yeah. Carl Freeman says, good evening, Sean. Staying warm and safe from winter. He is indoors, as am I. This would be a weird video if it was outside and a little bit chilly. We are currently broadcasting on 9 different platforms, soon to be 10. But I am on X, LinkedIn, Instagram, TikTok, X, Kick, Twitch, Rumble. We're everywhere. Facebook. Did I say Facebook? We're on Facebook. And I was shocked to see Facebook was so angry about flishy, flashy lights. It was actually very successful. We have now it's a fairly new page. I never really used Facebook. I stopped using Facebook when I left the police. I started using it again. We have over 300 followers, and I think it's as a result of the last couple of videos that I posted. So thank you and welcome to anyone who's on Facebook. We love you. We appreciate you. Actually, just going to take a quick look over here. I don't see anybody actually on the Facebook, but we're there. We're there in case anyone wants to go. It's at VoiceOver Cop. In fact, it's at VoiceOver Cop on all platforms. Let's go. Jerry Joe just popped in with a question, but you're going to be in line after some folks from TikTok because they've been waiting. Okay. Raven says, most of the worst collisions I have seen were from, knocking the ladies. Allegedly, the worst collisions Raven saw were female drivers. Now, I gotta say, I know good drivers that are female. I know bad drivers that are female, but I know as many good drivers that are men and bad drivers that are men. So I can't lean on the ladies giving them more shade than others. I think it's pretty split. There's just bad drivers and there's good drivers, and I think a lot of people are waiting till later in life to even get their licenses now. So it's just about inexperienced drivers that are really the problem, and it is a problem. Oh, Leland has a question about tinted taillights. We'll get to that. Okay. Melody, what's going on, Melody? Hope you're doing well. And she actually jumped in and told Leland that tinted taillights are not legal. They have to be viable. I guess we're getting into tinted taillights now. You must have taillights that function, that are discernible at 150 meters, and that's according to the police officer. So if I can see the lights, one, and if I see them, can I tell the difference between brake light and the always on when the headlight system is on? If I can't discern between the two modes, the high and the low, it ain't legal. It ain't legal. Thanks to the to Han KW who sent a gift, and Bergamutka that sent 30 diamonds or coins. I don't know how those translate, but I do appreciate them. And as I mentioned before, it goes to Better Traffic, the not-for-profit called the Canadian Organization for Better Traffic Safety and Education, which is it's not for profit. That's why I said it's not for profit. My name is Sean Shapiro. I'm a former police officer who talks about traffic safety, traffic law, and police stuff, broadcasting on 9 different channels right now, different platforms. If you want to know stuff before you do stuff, or go driving in the winter with your blinky blinks on, this is the right place. If you got questions, I got answers. Whether you're talking about traffic safety, traffic law, or police stuff, you feel free to drop a message in the chat. I am here until 10:30, at which point I have to go on a Zoom call and talk about other stuff and things. And in a few minutes, like 10, we're gonna talk about the comments that I got across 4 platforms all about blinky blinks, amber lights, your hazard lights while you're driving. Should you use them when you're in the snow? That is the question we are discussing. And I think some of these comments, I mean, people got so bloody angry, so angry. It's like a personal attack when I told them they were wrong. People do not like being told I'm wrong. And I tell a lot of people that they're wrong on a regular basis. So I hope you'll enjoy this, because I certainly did reading these. Will I Am says, been following since before you retired. Right on, brother. Appreciate you. Thank you for following, and hope you follow on all the platforms. Also, I take the this long form content, the hour to 2 hour show, and I put it up on Apple. Well, it goes on Spotify, and then it gets re-shared to Apple Podcasts and all the different platforms. So if you want to take me along for the ride in the car, download it so you don't burn data. You want to burn through all of the 100 episodes. Tonight's the 100th episode since I left. It's a 100th episode. It's the 100th. It's the 100th episode of season 3. Yes. So December will end and we'll start season 4. But 100th episode tonight. Thank you for being part of it. I appreciate y'all. I don't know, I get so excited. Okay. AMD Photography 416 says, what's the fine for not clearing your windows in winter? We talked about that earlier. I don't know if it was the same person who asked, but it's $110 for driver's view obstructed. Ali wants to know if I'm still on the force. I am not. That's why it says former police officer at VoiceOver Cop below my mug on your screen. I left in September of 2024. I left early so that I could have more freedom with my time to help family with some specialist stuff and things. I miss them terribly. I'll always be a cop at heart. I am not a police officer now. I am a civilian just like you, but I still know stuff and things, and I want to share that with the world to make everyone happier, better, otherwise good. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, I want to keep sharing, and it's a good thing. It's my way of giving back for all that. Like almost 25 years with the police, I'd like to continue to be useful. Will I Am says, I work for A Towing, covering 51, 55, 52, 54 divisions. Right on. You guys have come to plenty of collisions that I used to go to when I was on the road. Okay, Badali shared the live. Thanks very much, Badali. And then we've got Daniel Stokel, who says, why did you give me a refused? What is this? Why did you give me a refuse to give sample after pulling the device out of my mouth? Did I do that? In what year did I do that? Because it didn't happen. But interesting dialogue. He says, I gave him a refuse after blowing a warning. I'm going to assume you got me confused with somebody else if that actually happened. Otherwise, interesting story. Didn't happen with me. Clapped 6.6 Duramax. If you heard a modified exhaust, but they weren't being obnoxious, would you still have pulled it over? A modified exhaust? No. The it would have caught my attention, but if they weren't being obnoxious, if they weren't doing anything dangerous or out of the norm, I would have just acknowledged that I heard a loud car and made me look. If someone was, rolling coal and burning it out or smoke thrown everywhere, I would have a conversation at that point. Everything is an opportunity to have a conversation, but not every conversation results in charges. If you get charged for two, I'm assuming that's DUI. They put 2 UI, but I think it's DUI. Can you get your license back in Canada? Yeah, you can absolutely get your license back after you're finished your suspension and the period of time that comes after your suspension, because you're going to get an immediate suspension. So you're going to get a 90-day when you get charged. You're going to get if you're convicted, you're going to get whatever you get for your conviction, plus you're going to get an additional on the other side. And you can apply for things to get your license back faster if you are willing to pay for and have a device installed in your vehicle. That's basically it's called an interlock. It allows you to blow into the straw and verify to the machine, satisfy the machine that you don't have alcohol in your blood, and then it lets you start the car. And if you do that, then they'll let you come back early. Yeah. And I'm assuming you learn your lesson after that. That's the goal. But so many people don't. And they do all sorts of wild and crazy things. We got a Killer Draconis who says, greetings and salutations from Kingston. Right on, right on, right on. We've got Stephen who says it was a snow day for me, no driving. Listen, that's the best way. If you don't have to drive in crappy weather, why would you? If you can stay home, that's the smartest move you can make. We talk about low visibility. If you can't see, you shouldn't drive. And if you have options, use them. Big Jeff Fresh says 100 ? Heck yeah. But I don't know what he's heck yeahing. But good to have you here, brother. Good to see you. He's my Twitch guy. Okay. Akela, we'll talk about that another time. I saw your last comment. Rob says, how can I take home a car if I purchase it as is from someone on Marketplace? As is. So if it was fit status. So it was plated by them. You're not buying it certified from them, but it was plated and they're taking their plates off. If you have plates that are unattached, they're not on your Honda Civic that you already own, but you've already sold your Honda Civic or you've gone to the ministry and removed them on paper from the Honda Civic, they're unattached status. They can go onto that car and you can drive home, assuming you have insurance. Insurance must be on that vehicle. The other option is if you don't have insurance, if you don't have plates, and if you don't, then you're going to have to get it towed because you can't do it any other way. The best thing is to have them drop the vehicle off at your home under their insurance, and it's their problem. Or even better, meet them at the Ministry of Transportation, meet them at Service Ontario, do the transfer there. Granted, they can't do the transfer there because it's as is. Yeah, you're gonna have to get them to drop it off. Then it's their problem, or have it towed. That's the only way to really do it. Okay. Bergamutka says, in Canada, people think that speed signs are just suggestions. I do think that is accurate. Oh, and Death Stalker says, tow truck or temporary plate. And thank you for the reminder, Death Stalker. I totally did not think of temporary plate. Yeah, if you have insurance, you can get a temporary plate issued. Thank you. Absolutely. I left that one open. Man. Jerry Joe says, you forgot about my questions. And I did, actually, Jerry Joe. Thank you for the reminder. Let's go back to Jerry Joe. And we have, why don't TPS vehicles use winter tires? I saw a cruiser almost getting struck today in deep snow. You guys need to reach places. Officer, I agree with you. And most police services are going to an all-weather tire, which is something that's winter rated. And maybe the Toronto Police has done that. But in my time, while I was with the service, they weren't. And I was always told that they didn't switch because there was no place to store the tires or all sorts of things, budgetary issues. And it is a big service and it's expensive. They need to go to all-weather tires. They should talk to my friends at Tire Butler to do it. Just saying. Shameless plug for my friend's business. Boom, boom, boom. So now I can say I have no longer forgotten about your question. I've addressed it. Okay, going back to TikTok and just have a quick question here. Now I said, a couple minutes still. Twin C wants to know if LED headlights are illegal from halogen light. I assume you mean buying something on Amazon and upgrading it or getting it professionally with a proper kit to convert from halogen to LED. Very often, what you do when you buy a headlight system aftermarket is you're buying a cheapy system or buying a bulb and assembly or in a booster because they have to have a transformer of some kinds to power the LEDs. They tend to shoot light not in the ideal directions. They're not doing it to get it aimed properly. So what happens is you get a bulb that is either getting really hot spots or misdirected, and it's problematic. So it's not specifically illegal, but it could be problematic. You could be misdirecting that light and causing others to go, well, not blind in the purest sense, but you could be sending some blinding light their way, and it could result in charges. Just saying. Hey, it's four kids in a Porsche. Haven't seen you in a while. Good to see you back. Douglas Gordon says, if I'm driving along and I see an SUV in my rearview mirror, turn on, what is this? Rearview mirror. Turn on its lights and do a U-turn. How much can I avoid the USV with flashing lights before I'm in trouble? Hang on a second. So you see a SUV in the mirror. You're talking about a police SUV. It flips its lights on, does a U-turn to come after you. I would say you don't do anything. You don't do anything weird, because if it wasn't for you and you start doing erratic stuff, it might become for you. Just play it cool, brother. Just pump the brakes. Slow down. Don't get freaked. And remember, if they're pulling you over, it's probably for a reason. And if you got nothing to hide, you got nothing to hide. Four kids in a Porsche says, if an officer thinks you are DUI, can you refuse standardized sobriety testing like balance checks and ask for a formal breathalyzer test? No. You are obligated to perform the test that you are being demanded. Now, if you have mobility issues, you can make those known. It's going to be recorded because you're wearing a body cam, and those things will all come into play. But simply saying, no, I'm not doing it, it's a problem. Now, when you do that test, all that's for is to develop grounds for that officer. So let's back it up a bit. Mandatory alcohol screening came into play in 2018, if I'm not mistaken. And that means that anyone who's pulled over can have a demand made to them, regardless of whether an officer believes you're under the influence of drugs or alcohol. Well, let's skip it. It's alcohol specific. Drugs are separate. So if he thinks you are, whether he thinks so or not, he can say, I'm making a demand under mandatory alcohol screening. You're going to blow into this box and we're going to see if you've got alcohol in your system. And if you blow a fail, you're going to get arrested, and a demand is going to be made to bring you down to a qualified breath technician. You're going to provide 2 other samples at the police station. That's option A. Option B is you blow a warrant. You're under the criminal level, but you can't drive. 3-day suspension. Okay. Or you are under 0.05 and you're going to say, have a great night. Thanks for complying with my demand. If you refuse that, you're going to get suspended and you're going to be charged with the same thing as if you had failed. There's a roadside sobriety test, the walking 1 foot in front of the other and whatnot, is a mandatory test, but generally they're not just managed. They're just saying, okay, buddy, you're going to come out and do this. They have reasonable suspicion that you have alcohol in your system. So they've already got one level higher than just mandatory alcohol screening. That's my recollection of how that works. Below is anybody. Mandatory alcohol screening, I believe, is box only. So they've already got suspicion. For you to say no, it's refuse. And if you got nothing to hide, you're going to the station to get a breathalyzer anyway, right? If you fail, that is. Okay, hope that helps. If that doesn't answer your question, throw it another way. Okay. Isma wants to know, if visibility is low, is that okay for a blinky blink? Well, blinky blinks, the hazard lights, are not meant for you driving through the streets. They're just not meant for that. They're meant for you to be slow moving traffic at the side of the road, or stopped at the side of the road, or something happens up ahead. You're putting it on because you're going to be decelerating from the flow of traffic, and you're warning people behind you to pay attention. You are doing something out of the ordinary. However, if everybody is going really, really slow, it's no longer something that you need to tell people about because they're doing it too. If you're at the back of a pack, makes sense. If you're at the front of the pack, like you saw in the video, doesn't make sense. Hey, my name is Sean Shapiro. I'm a former police officer who talks about traffic safety, traffic law, and police stuff. And if you want to know stuff and things before you do stuff and things so you don't get into a collision or you don't get charged for doing the stuff and things you weren't supposed to do, you should be following this channel. We are currently broadcasting on 9 different platforms, and whichever one you're on, I hope you're enjoying it. Please follow me there, and please follow me on the other ones too. If you go to askatrafficcop.ca, you can go and get links to all of it. The one that we're trying to push the most is YouTube because we're trying to get to 1,000 followers, and we're really, 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 really close right now. Okay, moving along. If a snowplow has its flashers on and is cleaning the driveway boulevards, are you allowed to pass it? Han KW wants to know the answer to that question. And the answer is the only time you are not allowed to pass a snowplow is when there are more than one and they are in echelon formation. So that's with one on a 45-degree angle in front of the other one and so on, whether it's two or more. That is going to be illegal to pass if you are in any section, if any part of their vehicle is in your lane. If it's not in your lane, you're completely outside of it, you can pass it, but it's not a good idea. They are doing stuff and things. Stay away from them. Now, if you are in a situation where it's one single vehicle and one single plow, use caution. Could be careless driving if you cause a collision there. Toronto Stu, hey, how you doing? He says, hey, Sean, I remember that ticket I mentioned my sister got, but was never entered into the system. They refunded the ticket. Awesome. That's good. Good. She got a ticket that never got entered and she wins. That's good. We got Darren Smith says, oh my God, I drive truck and this new flasher thing drives me insane. It's an epidemic. Darren Smith is saying that when everyone's driving with their flashers on, it's like an epidemic, right? It wasn't around when I was driving. It's new in the last 5 years, I think. Maybe longer. How many times have you been on the road and everybody's driving with their flashers on? Like, it's cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs crazy. Wild. Nick Ferrant 3111 says, I lost my license card. Can I drive to the Service Ontario to get a replacement? It's reasonable that you physically lost the card and you have to get it replaced. Yes. I'm going to say that you can because you have a story and you're on the way to do it. I would also suggest calling the police or going to a police station and reporting that piece of identification lost or stolen because someone could be out there opening a bank account in your name, oddly enough. And Brandon's going to call it a night. He says, I have pub opening later this morning. Hope you all have a fantastic night and an awesome tomorrow. He's in Glasgow, Scotland. Yeah. Lucky bugger. Okay. Lift kits on truck. How high can you be? Generally speaking, 3 inches. There are maximums and minimums that the center of your headlights can be from the ground from the center of your headlights to the ground and away from the ground. There's maximums and minimums. And if you're over or below it, you're going to get into trouble. The big problem is whether or not your suspension still functions properly. For lift kits is less, but the next question is how low to the ground can your car be? And the same thing, because you literally asked both questions on either side of the spectrum. We're going to check to see if your suspension's functioning. We're going to check to see if there's body contact with your tire or frame contact with your tire on the inside and the outside. We're going to have you we're going to do a test. If it contacts your vehicle's unsafe for the road, you're going to lose your plates. Deathstalker says some and most are legal depending on height. Shiesty 30 or 330i says, why does tints matter? I can see perfectly fine out of mine and y'all's undercover cars tinted. No, you can't see perfectly fine. You think you can see perfectly fine, but you see, tint reduces light. Light is how you see. Less light means you see less. Also, it prevents nonverbal communication. In other words, someone looking into your vehicle can't see you, and that means they don't know if you're looking at them. It's nonverbal. See, you can tell I'm looking at you. You can tell I'm not looking at you. I can tell I'm looking at you. Well, pedestrians, cyclists, other drivers are looking to find you to determine whether or not you see them. It's a safety thing. In addition to that, police safety and being able to identify the driver and all sorts of other reasons, it's illegal. Yep. Okay. We're gonna do into the what do we start here? We're gonna start with the personal attacks. Okay, where is it? Hang on, I'm gonna go here. The top 10 meanest comments made to me on my or meanest comments overall that were left across 4 platforms in relation to my hazard light video. We'll do the top 10 meanest comments overall. Do we do them we'll just do them 1 through 10. So Andrea Bartley on TikTok said, Just the tone of voice and her way of speaking, I can tell she causes every accident she's been in or ever will be. That's the attack. So the video, if you haven't seen it, is a woman who says, "This is Canada," and or this is something like that. What is it? Hang on, I'll play it. I'll play the voice so you know what we're talking about. No, we'll go into my photos and we'll go into my library. Hang on, this is too funny. Where's my video? Come on, video. How far back did I produce this video? Oh, hang on. Do 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 do. Where is it? Like for real? I have a whole bunch. Did I delete it? No. Here it is. Okay.
This is on the 400.
So that comment was directed at her.
This is on the 400.
The 400. Just the tone of voice and her way of speaking, I can tell she causes every accident she's been in or will be. That was the Andrea Bartley TikTok comment that was deemed to be one of the top 10 meanest comments. The next was from Jen Can on Facebook. Listening to that woman's voice is a real hazard. Okay. Gypsy Joe said, looking at the comments, good 70% of you need to retake your exams. Apparently, the people who were participating in the comments online were not seen as knowledgeable drivers. I gotta tell you, I'm enjoying mispronouncing words intentionally because I was watching a video of a TikToker who does watch reviews, or he reviews watch collections against people's wills. I forget his name at the moment, but I love his content. Now I feel bad for forgetting his name. Anyway, he was really perturbed, he wasn't happy with a guy who calls kilometers and millimeters because he just has fun with mispronouncing words, and now I find myself wanting to do the same thing. So yeah, let's go on with another one here. Mike Poots from Facebook says, when I see people driving with hazards, I assume they are idiots. Obviously, he's in the anti-hazards for snow camp, and there are many on either direction, other side of this argument. So I do like that. Okay. And just before we get into more of this, we got here 4 Kids in a Porsche says, clarifying follow-up, to be formally charged, you need a formal test fail that isn't subjective versus officer sobriety relying on their opinion. Okay, so a few minutes ago, I was answering the question from 4 Kids in a Porsche, specifically asking if they can refuse a roadside sobriety test where they have to put one foot in front of the other and then touch their nose with their forefinger and so on. That is just to establish grounds to make a demand for a further testing at the station. That is not something that gets you criminally charged. That is for developing reasonable grounds to arrest you, to take you to the next level. No charges from that, other than we're going to take you to the station for a qualified breath tech to evaluate you with 2 tests from a device, a scientific device, an instrument even. So hope that helps. Mike, then we go Bruce Hockley. We're going back to people who had offensive comments in relation to driving with your hazard lights in the snow. Bruce Hockley on Facebook said, if it's that bad and you need your hazards, stay off the road. You are the problem. I don't even think that's that mean. I mean, it's curt, it's direct, but is it that mean? Let me know which one, by the way, when we get to the end of this. If you find one that really, really got you going, let me know. William Primrose on TikTok says, as a retired collision reconstructionist, they all drive like shite. Touche. That's awesome. That's not even offensive. I don't know how we got this on the offensive list. We got I see here, just got sworn in with the OPP starting in Whitby Division from user, lots of numbers. Send me a DM, brother. We'll stay in touch. Okay. Boom, boom, boom. Hakeem says, do you need laser eye surgery to become a cop? You need to have better than 20/40 uncorrected binocular vision for most services. So if you don't meet that minimum requirement, then yeah, you would need to have corrective surgery. And orthokeratotomy doesn't work. You will not get in with that. That's where you put a basically a hard lens in when you sleep, and it sort of jello molds your eye into shape so you have perfect vision for 24 hours, and then it gets crappy again. So there you go. Glenn Allen on Facebook says, if you can't tell I'm going slow, then maybe you should cut up your driver's license. Yeah, I mean, again, Kurt, I don't even think they're offensive. I think these are just truth tellers. That's what they are. Lazy Daisy on Facebook said, you put your hazards on to let the people behind you know they're approaching a clusterfuck. They put asterisks. They were so polite, and here I am just spilling it. Yeah, if you're at the back of the pack, I totally get running it because everyone behind you is going to have to hammer down on those brakes, and you give them a little extra to know that you are basically not moving up ahead. I get it. If you are driving in a pack of traffic, though, it doesn't work. It is silliness. Joshua Perez Rodriguez. I need water. Water. Joshua Perez Rodriguez on Facebook says, every Canadian forgets how to drive when it snows. When did they ever know? Question mark. Well, I don't know. I don't know. Did anyone ever know? Most people knew. 4 kids in a Porsche says, hazards can be a way to communicate on a highway that traffic has come to a sudden stop. Yes. In a situation where you are the last in the pack, 100% I support putting on your hazards. So the discussion, if you're just coming into it, is a video that I posted earlier that has gone somewhat viral with over 400,000 views on the Instagram. And it has caused a lot of conversation, a lot of bickering amongst yourselves about whether it is the right thing or the wrong thing to do. I'm of the camp that says it's the wrong thing. But most of the United States also say it's illegal, and to drive, like to be in motion with hazard lights. The OPP, the CAA, the Ontario Safety League, they all say don't do it. But somehow when I say it, I'm an asshole. But whatever. And you'll see with some more comments that people really did. You're an idiot, Sean. Why do you say stuff like this? They came at me, man. They came at me. Just saying. Hey, if you're watching on TikTok, please tap the screen till your fingers go numb. Follow me wherever you are because we need more followers. It really does help us get the word out. And this whole channel is for you. It really is. Whether it's because it entertains you, educates you, helps you in some way, shape, or form, I'm here for you, answering your traffic and police questions. And tonight, because that's After Dark, we're talking about stuff and things in relation to comments made on a video. We're going through the ones that were the most offensive, then we're going to go into the funniest ones, and then we'll get into the ones that were really personal attacks on me. Just saying, some people didn't like what I had to say and were very, very open about it. Nobody cares on TikTok. That's their username, no spaces. It's distracting as hell. Hard on the eyes and drives me nuts. And I concur. It really is. It's terrible. Storm Games and Vlog says, evening, Sean. People are what is this? Are people required to press the button at a crosswalk that has strobe lights and no traffic light? Are they required to press the button? It's smart to press the button, the lights that flash. We're talking about PXOs, right? Yeah, you're talking about PXOs. Now, if those are flashing, you got to stop. You got to wait till all persons are off the road before you go. And he goes on to say, I wish people would use it more so they know that they're in the crosswalk and not hit them as a guy wearing all black was crossing the crosswalk. Didn't see him until a minute. Ooh. And you have to stop until all pedestrian traffic is off the road. Oh. And just because we're on the topic, he says, I just use the hazards to alert people to hazards in front of me, then turn them off when I pass the hazard. I think that's fair. It's like a motorcycle rider pointing at the ground when they see something there. Okay. Jerry Joe, I'll come back to you in a second. David Q misses having Marks and Spencer in Canada, because I was talking about being in Scotland when I was live streaming or live on the Jerry Agar show from a Marks and Spencer when I was on vacation there. And one of our listeners, our regulars, is currently in Scotland. He's got a pub opening tomorrow. I don't know if it's his pub or somebody else's pub, but it's opening. Nick wants to know what the fastest speed you pulled someone over at. I pulled someone over at. I don't know. I haven't really kept score. I know that OPP got someone to 305 on the 401 a couple years ago, but I don't know if there's someone who's topped that or not. But I don't care. If you're doing over 150, you should be jailed. Just got sworn. We talked about that. Portia Weston says, I called 911 because there was a tow truck parked in the live lane at the bottom of a hill during a snow. I barely saw him before I needed to stop, and going downhill on black ice, I almost hit him. Yeah. I mean, he parked there? That's a dumb place to park. Maybe he was just waiting for his next customer to slide into him. Bum. Just saying. By the way, if you got dad jokes, share them in the comments. What are the laws on high beams? You got to turn them down. You can't have high beams as you're approaching or following another driver. It's 60 meters behind, 150 meters oncoming, I believe. Melody says OPP and MTO use snow rated or winter rated. Okay, scrolling back. Things updated and everything's slid out of control here. StreamHub sent a blinky blink. Okay, scrolling back. A lot of comments just updated. Thank you, by the way, for the gifts. I see that Ellen Karchik sent some gifts. Much appreciated. That goes to the Canadian Organization for Better Traffic Safety and Education, a not-for-profit organization dedicated to educating people. It's what we're doing right now. Okay. Imperial 53 wants to know, but illegal cigarettes are pretty common in my area. What's the fine if caught with them? Don't know. Traffic guy here didn't do cigarette enforcement. Have no idea. And Portia wants to know that they made the right call, and I believe you did. Okay. Bella Queen says pedestrian right of way. Most of the driver cannot see a human crossing at night. Pedestrian right of way. There's this weird belief that people believe that pedestrians have the right of way always. They don't. They can be lawfully in the road, and if they're lawfully in the road, then you have the right of way in that situation. They're already there before you got there. You can't hit them. It's against law. But they don't have the ability to just walk out in front of you. So I'm not really picking up what you're putting down, but I do appreciate that you're here. So I don't know what you're going for, but let me know. Ask it in a different way. And Melody, I totally support your no reducing, no covering. I'm just talking when I talk about tinting taillights, it's from a police perspective. But Melody's a mechanic and talks about it from safety standpoints of certification. Han KW, if a snowplow has flashers on it, is clearing the driveway boulevards, are you allowed to pass it? Driveway boulevards? We talked about this earlier. Okay. Gore-Tex says, my Japanese car has a rear red fog light. Cool. Many European cars have fog light options for the back, and I think that's awesome. North America says they're not required here, so I don't get it. Okay. Favorite squad car? This is a question from Ryder. And my answer to you is the Harley-Davidson Electra Glide that I was riding. That's my favorite. F-150 would be my favorite if I had a choice. I never got one other than occasionally to use the commercial motor vehicle inspection vehicle that I once in a while got to joyride in. But generally speaking, anything full size for me. Didn't really like the 4x4 is what is it called? Not the Escape. What's the next? What is it? The Expedition? No, the Escapade. What the hell is it? It's whatever the standard SUV is now that escapes my. Yeah, I can't remember what it's called. Not a fan. The center console just sat where my knee was, and it made me miserable. But it has to be the Crown Vic then, because that's what I drove the most. Okay. Boom, boom, boom. Why do police not solve cases? That's world peace. That's asking the question. I don't know what you're talking about, because we solved lots of cases. Nick Lasagna says Interceptor. They're all police interceptors if they're Ford. They put a sticker on it that says police interceptor, and then they are interceptors right away. But Ford Explorer, that's what it is. It's called a Ford Explorer. And the sticker goes on everything. And then people are putting the interceptor stickers on other vehicles too. And thank you, Akela, who just jumped in and said Explorer. Okay. Aftermarket mufflers legal if they are not obnoxious. Aftermarket mufflers are legal if they're legal. It's not about how obnoxious they are. It's about whether or not they're street legal and meet the requirements of the law. Will I get spanked by a cop if I'm harnessed with the trunk open? Oh, you're talking about hanging out the back doing rollers? Yeah, you're not in a legal space. You're going to get a seatbelt ticket, because it doesn't matter. With all the harnesses in the world, you're not on a closed track, and that's the only time you'd be able to do that. If you had a permit and you closed the highway, you could do it on the highway, but you don't have that permit, I'm assuming. What you should use, and I don't have an example in front of me, is a stabilized gimbal camera. What the heck did I just put my foot over a staple. It's like, that hurt. So yeah, I'd pull you out of there. I'd give you a ticket for it, or at least have a conversation with you. Maybe no ticket, but it would have to end. Chad is alleging that I was fired. No, Chad, I wasn't fired. I left for family reasons because family comes first. I miss my friends and my family that are blue, but my actual family, the blood ones, they come first, and they needed me. So I started a not-for-profit to educate people across Canada about stuff and things, and we're working towards that goal every single day. And if you want to contribute, you can, if you're on doing coins or whatnot on TikTok, or if you want to go to askatrafficcop.ca and do PayPal or Ko-fi or any one of the things. We have lots of ways of supporting us. If you have a company that wants to support us and partner with us, go to bettertraffic.ca. We'd love to talk to you about becoming a corporate sponsor. Okay. We've got what do you do now? I do a bunch of stuff. Media company, we're working with law firms, doing lots of stuff. Goat Boa says, taser. Neil Galario says, does TPS accept the Ontario Prep 20-meter shuttle run certificate? I don't know. Talk to the people at recruiting, absolutely. Country Guy James says, type 1 diabetic, need to check my Dexcom on my phone when driving. Will I get a ticket? Technically speaking, you're not allowed to do that. If you got an alert, it was a medical thing, I'd say pull over. That would be your best way. But could you articulate that to a police officer and possibly not get into trouble? I think it would be reasonable. Is it technically legal? No, it's not. User 88263 says, will a verbal warning show up if you get pulled over again? No. It'll show up that you got pulled over, but that's it. World full of morons says, hi, Sean. Hello, how you doing? Let's see here. Nick Lasagna wants to know what the limit to buying a former police car with all the bells and whistles like spotlight, but minus light bar, etc. Well, there you go. You can have a spotlight. You can't have sirens, technically. Light bars are okay if they're amber. Okay, what's the legality? 403 shot by Ollie says, if I'm shooting rollers at a moving car and I'm harnessed up the trunk, what will happen? As I discussed with the other person who asked the same question, you're going to get a ticket. You have to be in a seatbelt. You have to be in a seat designed to hold you with a seatbelt, and it has to be OEM. You can't stick your own in there. So you need to be in a legal space that was for passengers with seatbelts that function. What's the legality of underglow? If you can't see the bulb, you're probably okay. If you're not flashing light, like the whole thing is you can't have, there's no specific underglow law. What there is are laws that say you can't project light forward other than white or amber. You can't project light backwards other than amber and red. You can't have flashing red. You can't have flashing blue. You can't, you pretty much can't project light other than what's permitted. So how does that affect your underglow? Well, if it's truly glowing, if it's just the reflection off the ground that we can see, you're not really doing anything that's against the law, in my opinion. But it's going to be something that you might get charged for because not every officer sees it that way. Sergeant Murray Campbell and I always, butted heads on this. He says if he can see the light, it's being projected at him. I say it doesn't count for reflection off the ground. We have a disagreement. So what happens? If he writes you a ticket, you go to court, and the justice of the peace or the trier of fact makes their own decision. And that's how it happens. But it might not be worth it. I wouldn't turn it on the road. It's not worth the aggravation. And there you have the answer. Nick says, at what age can I start having a BAC, which stands for blood alcohol content, when driving? The answer is 22. In the province of Ontario, it's 22. The reason being is you have to have 0 BAC until you are over the age of 21, which is 22. Not 21 and over, it's 22. There you go. Confuses the heck out of everybody. And Raj says, hey, Sean, he's coming in from X, one of the 9 platforms we are on. And we'll put you on the screen because we can. Hey, how's it going? He says, I forgot his question again. What question did I forget this time? Oh, here we go. Yeah, you're right. Thank you again. Jerry Joe 789 says, as today was a pretty snowy day, when I was turning left from Morningside to Kingston Road, an F-150 started flashing and honking at me for turning too slow. I have a front-wheel drive sedan. I was being careful. What's the question? You're perfectly legitimate to travel at the speed that is safe. If you were to travel faster, you might have lost control. You were being cautious. He can go stick his thumb in his anyway, and you were right. Let him honk to his heart's content. Doesn't mean you have to do anything. These people who are so entitled that they think you should be driving as though you had perfect tires with perfect 4x4 and do what they do, which is unsafe, but somehow managed not to have crashed yet. That's their problem. If they're unhappy with you making a left turn slowly and cautiously, they can deal with it because it's a them problem. Adam says, "Hey man, I saw your video the other day." Let's back it up. "Hey man, I saw your video the other day about how you can get a DUI in Ontario on any motor vehicle. I've always been told you can't drink and ride a bike either. Is this true?" Sort of. So, motor vehicle for DUI, criminal charge for impaired operation of a motor vehicle. Motor vehicle also covers conveyances, which are canoes and watercraft that fall under a different section, but qualify for the same long way around. It gets covered. However, a bicycle is a pedal bike. It is a vehicle, but not a motor vehicle. And clearly, such, it does not apply for DUI charges. Could you be charged? Well, not for the charge for DUI, but could you be charged for public intox if you're a fall down drunk weaving all over the road? Sure. Could you be charged for careless driving because you're all over the road because you're drunk? Sure. Could you be charged for both of those? Absolutely. You can be charged for everything you do on a bicycle. However, you would not it wouldn't affect your driver's license because you're not on a motor vehicle. When you get the public intox, though, that isn't a Highway Traffic Act charge, so it's more serious. Okay. We talked about that. We talked about this. Don't take my word for it, but if you are harnessed properly, you should be fine. That's I See Dead People who says that. Not legally, brother. You cannot be sticking your butt out. You can't even be in the flatbed of a truck. You can't be out the back of an SUV. You have to be in a. Now, once upon a time, and I will preface this with the fact that the loophole has been closed. If you had a minivan that had 6 chairs and you had 7 people, and there was no seatbelt available for the 7th person, they, at the time, did not require a seatbelt because there was no seat for them, and there was a loophole that if all the seats were occupied, they were not required. That loophole has been closed. Everyone inside the vehicle must have a seat designed to hold them and a seatbelt that is functional, and you can't just bolt it to the floor and say, "I got another seatbelt." Doesn't work. Okay. Trip permit, and I See Dead People who's just saying, it happened to me. I didn't get it. Any officer can show discretion based on how they feel, even if they don't know what they're doing. They could say whatever, but it's not legal. Matt says, would you ever accept a photo ID? Sorry, would you ever accept a photo of a driver's license or only a hard copy card? Only a hard copy card. I would charge you for fail to surrender 9 times out of 10. If you were like, "Oh my God, I thought I had my license, but at least I have this." If everything else checked out, maybe you'd get a warning, but I would print a warning. It would be an official warning. It wouldn't be just, okay, see you later. Because what happens is people leave and never fix it. They just keep doing that. And I've pulled over plenty of people in the past that, well, they didn't have a license, or it was their friend's license, or it was a Photoshop license. So now we have the ability of verifying photos. If it all matched up, I would probably give a warning, but it all depends if you had a warning already. Stand by. Hey, I mentioned it earlier, but I want to mention it again. A big thank you to Diamond and Diamond Lawyers. They're sponsors of the show. They make it possible, along with Barrett Legal and I Finally Will. They help keep the lights on. This is not a free thing. It costs money for the software, for the computers to make this possible. My time is something I contribute, and I'm happy to do it. But we're about doing this properly. We want to get a team. We want to be a full-time content creation and education company, and they're helping us do it. So thank you to Diamond and Diamond Lawyers, Canada's #1 largest personal injury law firm in the country. Thanks to Barrett Tax Law. They do the tax law thing. If you got tax problems, they're the people to talk to. Personal injury, tax law. And if you don't have a will, you need one, go to ifinallywill.com and use code AATC. That's Ascot Traffic Cop for 50% off on checkout. Menraj says, how's snow in Ontario? It's hot in Texas today. How's the barbecue in Texas? That's what I want to know. I'm wanting to go to Texas. I want to buy a cowboy hat. I really, really, really want a cowboy hat, like a proper one. And I want barbecue. I want barbecue like nobody's business. Yes. Manraj wants to know if I can explain helmet law exemption for Sikhs in Ontario in detail. You're in Texas. Why do you care? There's an exemption that was adopted by Ontario after Alberta, I believe, and a couple other provinces joined in and said they're going to acknowledge that Sikhs who are practicing wear turbans. And if you wear a turban, how do you wear a helmet? So they don't want to exclude a group of people who, through being faithful to their faith, are excluded. So they said, if you are a practicing Sikh, if you follow if you're wearing, I'm not going to get into it because I can't remember everything, quite honestly. But if you've got the comb, you've got the bracelet, if you're doing it all, then you qualify not to wear a helmet. And it's not a good thing for safety, but I understand why they did it. Okay, let's get into Francois ATC. As a former police officer, do you still have powers of arrest after you retire? Oh, that's a very good question. I've never been asked that. I have citizens' powers, as do you. So I know how to make an arrest. I can make an arrest, as can you. But I actually know when I have the lawful authority, which means I'll do it lawfully and avoid a lawsuit, hopefully. Whereas the average person making a citizen's arrest could do something and maybe overstep their rights and privileges and could get sued. And that could be very expensive. So I would not suggest doing that. Unless you really know what you're doing and prepared to get into a punch up, because when you put hands on somebody, it doesn't always go very well. So, yeah. Gore-Tex says I skipped their question, but I think he just didn't hear me talk about it because I absolutely talked about your question, unless you had a second one, which I may have missed. Okay. Let's get into the top 10 funniest, and we'll get back to questions in a moment, but top 10 funniest questions. Kyle McCullough on TikTok said, by turning them on, these people are simply self-identifying as hazards. That is, if you run your hazard lights when it's snowing. I put up a video saying you shouldn't do it, or at least I didn't even say that. I said, what did I say? Let's go back. Let's go to the video. Oh, I gotta. Come on. Where's my audio?
This is on the 400. God, my God, this is scary.
Oh, this is the original video. That's not even me. Hang on. Come on. That's the original. Where's my I don't even know where the response video is. Anyway, what I said was effectively, I know when it's snowing, you don't need to put the lights on to tell me. And you should only put the lights on when you are, in fact, the hazard. So that caused all sorts of discussion. And people were pissed. And other people were thankful that I finally said what they wanted to say. And Kyle McCullough was saying that turning them on identifies people who were identifying as hazards. Scott Majukas on Facebook said hazard lights should be called make you a hazard lights. Yeah. Do you know that impaired drivers are drawn to the lights? Police cars tend to be the targets of crashes or impaired drivers. They crash into them. I went and had to do the collision report for my partner when I was in 12th Division, who was stopped dealing with a crash. And then while she was walking back to her cruiser, someone smashed into it. Why? Because they get focused target fixation on the flashing lights. So yeah, you kind of like moths to a flame. It's a thing. The Rural Dad Outdoors on TikTok said, anything with an Ontario plate is already a hazard. Okay. Vance Payne on TikTok said, people driving with hazards are grown children. That's a dig. Oh my. Not a fan, I see. Gypsy Joe. Is it the same Gypsy? Do we have Gypsy Joe? No, we have a different Joe. What's our Joe here? Hang on a second. Is it Gypsy Joe? No, it's Jerry Joe. Gypsy Joe on TikTok said, the road heroes with 4 ways and high beams on. That's not that funny. Tobin H on TikTok said, there is no scenario where your hazards should be on and you're driving with the flow of traffic. Bingo. If your hazards are on and you're doing the same speed as everybody beside you, your hazards should not be on. It's about you doing less than the speed of everybody else. That's what it's for. And then I understand it, but driving around with it, not cool. Sean Noble on TikTok said, most of these drivers are a hazard on their best of days. Jerry Klein says the taillights glaze over with ice, hazards show through. That's not funny nor valuable. Jack Zulerons on Facebook said, reads like a rant from someone who's seen things you can't unsee. Meh. Mike Broman, I don't want to be rear-ended. It's not funny, but I get it. People think it's like a force field that's going to protect them. Now, I will say there were a lot of people who were very supportive, and we'll get to some of those in a second. Jen says, hi, and are Christmas lights legal on one's car? Technically not legal. Chances are a little holiday cheer never hurt no one. I'm a big fan of Christmas, and having Christmas lights on cars is positive. I like it. Not really legal, but I've not heard of people being charged for them, except for the one guy who's doing 150 kilometers an hour, and that was taking the Christmas vibe a little too far. Obs Tristan says, if you have your G2 but haven't gotten the ID yet, but have the expired G1 card, can you use it? You need to have the piece of paper that says you have the G2 that you passed, and then your G1 card becomes your ID card. Then somebody with Arabic letters, and I can't read their name, says, what is the perfect resolve to deal with police officers who have a power trip and abuse the badge? Be polite. You don't fight with the officer. If there's something that you have a legitimate complaint, go make the complaint afterwards, but you do what you're told when you're engaging with police, because you will not win at the side of the road. One time I was eating alcohol brine pickles. The ride check made me breathalyzer and I blew over. Really? If you were eating alcohol brine pickles and you said, I ate something within 15 minutes, they would wait 15 minutes and then the mouth alcohol would have resolved. If you were eating a brine pickle, alcohol brine, I never even had, what is it? Why do you have an alcohol brine pickle? There you go. I don't know. But yeah, you should be doing the 15-minute wait before providing a breath sample. Ojibwa says, what happened to the Vision Zero daily enforcement? It's still going. The Vision Zero enforcement team is still there. I'm just not announcing it every day because I'm no longer working for the Toronto Police. John B6312 says, can you move over into other lane if there's a solid white line? What do you mean? Oh, can you change lanes over a solid white line? The white line means that on the other end of the line is another lane of people traveling in the same direction as you, unless it's to the shoulder, and then it can't go on the shoulder. Shoulders are for shoulder stuff. Let's see here. Nassim wants to know, hey, Sean, what do you think about window tints? If it's legal, it's legal. If it's too dark, it's too dark. If it's too dark, it's unsafe, and you should get charged. Dark tint is not something you should have. ER responder, what's going on, brother? He says, sup. Where were you earlier when you were probably listening, but I was, floundering as I couldn't remember something about the roadside sobriety testing. If mandatory alcohol screening applied to the anything but the box. I thought it was just a box, and I couldn't remember. I'm glad you're here, because now I can just talk to you as though you're in the room. What are the laws on high beams? We talked about that. Any advice for someone who's civilian who wants to become a police officer? Apply. Learn what you need to do to pass the requirements to apply, meet the minimum requirements, and then go and apply. Best job in the world. Now, user lots of numbers says, don't do it, but I say do it. It's great. I would still be doing it if I could. I really enjoyed it. And 25 years of my life, half of my life was working for the Toronto Police Service. I was just talking to somebody, a good friend of mine who's a staff sergeant, and we were talking about the concept of me coming back. And I'm like, I think about it. I think about it all the time, but I got stuff that I have to do. Mike Harris, TPA. Great topic, Sean. My biggest pet peeve are the people who use their flashers while they're driving. Right on, brother. One of my besties. And good to see you here in the live. Okay, let's continue with the top 10 supportive comments of the people like Mike who don't appreciate people using their flashy hazard lights when there's no good damn reason for it. Mike says, different Mike, finally a voice of reason. Then you got Kevin Stump from TikTok who says, agreed 100%. Hazards create distraction. Yes, they do. They don't properly communicate. I was driving to the Ontario Police College once, and I got stuck in the middle of the word. It was like out of nowhere. Couldn't see nothing. It wasn't that far. I had to get off somewhere and not just sit at the side of the road. And I drove slow. And I kept seeing a blinky blink light in the distance. It was like a lighthouse. But I never reached it because it was moving. That was weird. It also did not prevent anyone from hitting them There was nobody else to hit them. And if you're doing the appropriate speed, which is crawling, you're never going to approach them so fast that you get an extra warning that they're there. You're going to roll up and they're going to be an inch away and you're going to see them. The flashing light doesn't do anything. Okay. Richard Bloomfield on Facebook says, if everyone's doing the same speed, hazards aren't needed. 100% correct. Ethan Walker on Facebook says, hazards make a hazard really hard to identify. 100%. Nobody cares on TikTok says, it's distracting as hell. Brent Dyer says, where I'm from, it's illegal to drive with your hazards on. Most of the United States, it's illegal to be in motion with your hazards on because it's smart. They're smart. People knock the United States. That's a smart law. Labar on TikTok says, say it again for the ones in the back. And then Rural Dad Outdoors says, agreed. Mike Fitzgerald says, such an unnecessary distraction. And Patrick McCandless says, when traffic is flowing the same, hazards aren't needed. Oddly enough, a lot of people really supporting it. But then there was Brian Rooney on TikTok who said, are you new to Canada? I don't know. Maybe that he was saying, I don't know if that's a dig at me or if he's like saying people with the flishy flashies on are new to Canada, whatever it is. That was the comment. Dave on TikTok said, tell that to truckers. And he was angry because truckers use their lights. Now, hang on a second. When you're attacking truckers, you have to understand that when they are trying to go up a hill, this is normal weather, never mind snow. They're going up a hill. They're traveling with a gazillion pounds on the trailer. They cannot accelerate like you can in your sedan. They are doing 40 on the 400 up a hill. They are telling you that they are going slower than everybody else. They are a hazard. Thus, using their hazard lights until they can reach appropriate speed is the right use of hazard lights. They are a hazard. They're telling you they are. Everybody else is going by them, and they know well in advance to change lanes to avoid them. But if everyone's doing the same speed because it's crappy weather, it doesn't make sense. Okay, moving on. Mark Campo says, let's get the cops to turn on their headlights. Let's see you do the article. What? Let's get the cops to turn on their headlights? Are you suggesting that police officers don't run their headlights? Huh? I don't get it. Makes no sense. Several people said that I don't understand winter and that I'm wrong about the law. I never stated a law, but anyway. And then said, you should check with an expert. Dude, I am an expert. But hey, what do I know? I'm just a guy here trying to help people. What do we got here? About my previous question. What is the previous question? Hang on a second. Let me scroll back. People don't need to drink and drive at all. It's a pretty horrible thing to do. I have a police officer friend who would be disappointed if I did that. Hell's yes. Was there a previous question? Yeah. Listen, I don't drink. If I have one on a rare occasion, I absolutely don't get behind the wheel of a car. Bizarro Sonia says, hey, Sean, it's been a while. And hey, Sonia, I've been trying to find stuff for you based on the question and discussion we had previously. And my buddy's been out of town and I don't have the other person to talk to. I was hoping to see the other person who I've not seen, but my buddy should be coming back soon. So hopefully that's still a question you're looking for an answer on. And I'm still working on it. Storm Games and Vlogs. Ask me the question again because I don't know what we're talking about now. Scammer on Kick. Oh, let's block them. Let's block the Kick person. Add to the block. Do. And Mirage, I did talk about the helmet law. Oh, I don't see the other question. Storm Games and Vlogs. All right, let's get back to what else we're talking about here. Any advice for someone who's a civilian employed by TPS who wants to become a police officer? Find a mentor. And if you got questions, DM me. We'll talk. I'll try and help you out. Big Merla says, hey, Big Merla. User lots of numbers says, go be a correction officer. Stay away from the police. I disagree. I would never be a correction officer. I have friends that are correction officers. You would not find me unarmed in a penitentiary setting, trapped on the inside with them. You're way outnumbered. I don't like it at all. No, I want to go help good people on the outside. I'm not interested in corrections. Power to you if you do it. Like I said, lots of good friends that are. I belong to an organization, and at my particular location, they are primarily correction officers. I have friends that were superintendents of corrections. Like, great position, not for me. If you want to be a cop, be a cop. Uh, Would you ever give a break to vets? Hell's yes. You protect this country, I protect you. That's not to say I let you get away with murder. I would give you a free pass, though, on a minor offense. Absolutely, because I believe that if you go and you work in this country as a person, a member of the military, you deserve all we can offer. Okay, Mo says, and can my 6-year-old nephew be in the front passenger seat? Is it a good idea? No. We say backseat is best until 14 years old because they haven't fully developed skeletally. But is it legal? If they're, well, you might be on the cusp. If there's a airbag, you want to put them as far back as you can. Now, if you have a vehicle and from General Motors, you can probably disable it. There's a button or a switch or a thing you can actually a key in some make and model. You can disable it. You need to be away from that airbag because it can be deadly, and that's a thing. But backseat is absolutely best if you got the option. Don't try and be their buddy and put them in the front seat because tragedy can be tragic. Oh no, Normando's here. Normando is a Freeman of the Land guy spreading disinformation. Rabbi, do I need a license in Ontario? Are you asking me if you need a license in Ontario, or are you asking Normando, who will probably tell you no because he's a Freeman of the Land? You do need a license in Ontario. You need a license to operate a motor vehicle anywhere in the country. Absolutely. Doesn't matter if you are engaged in commercial activity or other baloney that these guys will tell you. Yeah, and I'll tell you, the judges across the land are tossing people in jail for this bananas baloney. Okay. Bananas baloney. I love that. What do we got here? Boom, boom, boom. Oh, so apparently the meanest platform, when you averaged out the comments made on that flishy flashy video that I posted, Facebook was the meanest. I'm shocked that mean people are on Facebook. I didn't even know Facebook was still a thing. I got back on it, and boy, oh boy, lots of mean comments there. The most misinformed, according to an analysis, was TikTok. The most reasonable was YouTube, but there was really very few. And most supportive was Instagram. Overall, tons and tons of views, but the overall, they were very supportive on Instagram. Thank you, Instagram. You've brought me people to the party that agree. Why are police never around when you need them? Because they're needed everywhere. And yeah, they can't be everywhere all the time. And wherever you are is obviously where they aren't. So you should be where they are more and you'll find them more often. Yeah. Grim says, I have a German license, never lived in Germany. Have you ever been to Germany? How'd you get a German license? But if you went there, why do you have a German license? Interesting. Okay. What if I drive a newly acquired vehicle home with no plate or insurance? Well, if you have that no plate, you're going to get charged with a whole bunch of stuff. No insurance, you're going to be charged with even bigger stuff. The no insurance is a $5,000 to $25,000 fine and up to 6 months in jail. The license plate for not registering a vehicle, for not having it plated. There's a whole bunch of charges. You don't want to go there. It's dumb. Like, don't be dumb. Register, tow, do what you have to do, but don't break the law, and certainly don't do something as silly as driving without insurance, because that's the time you get done. Doesn't make sense at all. Okay. Let's see what we got here. Rashad says, hi, as a tow truck driver, do I have to have a run sheet even though you are not for hire? I don't remember what the rules are for tow truck drivers under the new policies. I would imagine you do. I would imagine that you still do, because I believe any tow truck is considered a commercial motor vehicle, regardless of whether or not you are for hire, just by definition under the new definitions. Okay. Arsh says, sir, I got caught using phone while driving on a G1. What should I do? How the hell were you doing a G1? How are you a G1 driver using your phone? You don't even know how to drive yet. And I love your honesty, Arsh. But you're a G1 driver. You're being supervised by somebody. Where the hell do you get off touching your phone? I get that we have a addiction to phones, but not cool. What do you do? Well, if you pay it, you're going to get a 30-day suspension on your license on top of the 4-day suspension, and then you're going to get a 30-day suspension on conviction. You're done. I mean, you can go and try and defend it, but how are you going to defend it? You can go and fall on your sword and say, I was dumb. I did a dumb thing. I'm really, really sorry, and see if they are lenient, but I don't know. If you get convicted, though, you're baked for insurance, man. That's not a good look. And what was your supervising driver doing? Give him shit for not giving you shit. But it's really on you. It's your responsibility. Not quite hardcore says, have you seen the ads on Facebook Marketplace for driver's licenses with no test? I have. I report them whenever I see them. You should too. Not only to Facebook, but to the local authorities. We should sting those guys, arrest them, and toss them in the can. But that's Canada. Nobody goes actually in the can. You got to like try and not pay your taxes or something to get actually thrown in jail. Can I get tickets for? Oh, can I get a ticket for doing donuts on my property? Landon wants to know. I did a video about this. Yeah, if you are stunt driving on your personal property, you can still get a ticket. Yes, you can. Oh, and Minraj says in Texas there is no helmet law for adults. Oh, really? Yeah, that makes sense actually. Oh. Gotcha. Okay. So he was asking about helmet laws for Sikh exemptions, and then he moved to Texas where there's no helmet laws for adults. That makes a lot of sense now. So the deal is that I've ridden with no helmet. It's freaky. I was in Ohio. I went one exit until I stopped, put my helmet back on. I was just wearing a skid lid, but I still felt more comfortable with the lid on. Marcel says, those new red painted bus lanes, if I need to make a right turn, can I enter the lane or do I make the wide right turn around the bus lane? Generally speaking, if it's in the right lane, you would enter the bus lane to go through it as opposed to make a right across it. I don't travel there. Those are usually in Scarborough. So I don't have a visual reference, but if you look at Dufferin as an example, that's a multi-use lane and you would enter that lane to make the right turn. You just wouldn't continue forward. Yeah. Making a wide right sounds improper to me, but I would check with the local division just to be sure. I would assume though you'd enter it to make the proper right turn. I just don't want to give you bad information that results in a ticket. Bear the Lab says, oh, what do I do if someone hits my car in a road rage and runs off? Get as much information as possible. This is one of the reasons you should have a dash camera. Dash camera. Everyone should have one. I would suggest that is the way you go. Don't engage, don't escalate. They're going to do what they're going to do. If you can get a license plate, get it, write it down. If you got a voice, if you have audio turned on your dash camera, you hit that button, you make sure you're verbalizing whatever you see. I see a red car, a guy with a purple afro, whatever it is that he's doing or she's doing or they're doing. I'm just throwing out different descriptions. You say everything you see in that microphone because then you provide that to police. It may not even be on camera other than your voice, and that's what you want to be able to capture. JP Waterwalker says, is it true that if you ride right on the speed limit, cops will suspect is it true that if you ride right on the speed limit, cops will suspect you of impaired or other illegal activity? I drive the speed limit. I've never been pulled over, but I do have a story that a friend of mine who is an off-duty sergeant at the time was on the 407 doing the speed limit, got pulled over and arrested for impaired operation because the rookie couldn't believe they were doing the speed limit. Not a good, terrible look for that rookie who got dressed down by a senior officer afterwards. But generally speaking, no. Doing the speed limit is what you should be doing. Nobody should be exceeding the posted speed limit. Okay, I got 2 minutes and then I got to go. I got to go in 2 minutes. Would you pull over a plow driver for no reason? Why would I pull over anyone for no reason? Well, I mean, something. There has to be a reason. I mean, you can always pull someone over to verify or to do an inspection. And many, many guys used to inspect tow operators or plow drivers to make sure they're safety compliant. But would I do it? No, they're busy working. Okay. Any advice for someone who's civilian employed? We talked about this. I don't get that. Okay, moving on. Chaka says, what would happen if I got stopped third time with a suspended license? I'd arrest you, dude. I don't know why anyone would be, just you get more charges. No one's letting you drive away. I would hope not anyway. You didn't answer my question. Can you get charged for the DUI if you're not driving? They just assume. No. You got to have some. Well, that's not true. Yeah, you can. If you're in a car, the engine's on, you got access to the keys, you can get charged with impaired. It's not impaired driving, but it's care and control, right? They've changed things a little bit, but you're still eligible for charges. Why do we get tickets for front plates when this is going to end? When is this going to end? Yeah, you get tickets for front plates because you're issued front plates and you need to have front plates on them. True Blue. Are the roads as bad? Oh, are the road rules as bad as Australia over there? I've driven in Australia. I don't know them to be bad. What's bad about Australian road rules? Hey, listen, my name is Sean Shapiro. I got to go in about a minute, but I want to let you know that I'll be back again Tuesday at 10 a.m. Yeah, 10 a.m. Tuesday. So if you'd like to ask more questions, I'd invite you to go to askatrafficcop.ca, leave me voicemail, send me messages to askatrafficcop@gmail.com. You can, of course, drop comments in the videos. I'd love to get engagement. So by all the time, what is this? Jerry Jerry Joe says, third time you didn't see my question. I got so many screens here. I'm not really trying to avoid you, Jerry. It's not what's happening. He says, just kidding. Many of your viewers are on TikTok. Never miss any of your lives, but on YouTube. What is this? I know so many of your viewers on TikTok, but I never miss any of your lives, but on YouTube. I'm so confused. Oh, you're never missed the lives, but you're on. Okay, gotcha. Love you all. Much appreciate you coming and hanging out. I see 4 kids in a Porsche asking one question. We'll use you as a sign-off one. The yellow speed signs on off-ramps are they legal limits or suggestions? They are the suggestions from the magical engineers who give you suggestions as to what you do as a maximum as to not run off the road. But they're not enforceable for speed limits. Corey Agnew wants to know if I'm still hurt. I said I was going to end there, but I didn't. I am not. I'm never going to be 100%. I am much, much better. I'm the best I've been since my collision in 2018. I just did 100 push-ups today. It may seem like nothing for somebody else, but for me, this was a big deal. I started doing a push-up program, and I graduated from the beginner level at 100 push-ups to now going and trying to increase it. I was doing it on an angle. Now I'm going to go flat on the ground. Really excited about that. Doing a planking program, trying to work on my core. So I'm doing things to constantly try and improve myself. I still have injuries. I still suffer with pain, but I'm working on it. But thank you very much for asking. I appreciate you. I'll be back Tuesday at 10 a.m. and next Wednesday at 9 p.m. Assuming everything goes well. I have got to jump on a live, a Zoom, not a live, a Zoom. So I got to say bye. So hit that button that plays the music on the outro. And I'll remind everybody that I want to hear from you. Ask me questions, engage with my videos. I love to find things to talk about. Yeah, that's it. Drive safe, drive sober. Slow down. The snow is crap. And please don't use your hazards unless there's a hazard. Driving in the snow ain't one of them. It's just silly. Really silly. But I'm curious to see where that video goes. Over 400,000 views already on Instagram. See if it hits 1 million. My school bus one's almost at 2 million now. It's crazy. Be safe, everybody. And if I don't see you, have a Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, Happy New Year. I'll be here, but in case you're not here, just want to say it. Be well.